Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Conversation on Demand podcast. I'm your host, Doiba. Today is an exciting day because I'm not the only one recording today. I have a guest on the show. And if this is your first time here, I'm happy you're listening to this podcast. There's so many numerous podcasts out there, so I'm happy you're tuning in here. Being Black History Month, I thought it's a good idea for me to have a person of color on the show to talk about living experiences and just to share perspective on the show. He's no other than my good friend. He's a friend of the show. He's a very, very big supporter of the show. Micheal is here with me in the studio. Thank you so much, Micheal, for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
Friend. So, it's Black History Month, February.
Yep.
It's been amazing. I feel like throughout February, I've seen so many things that, in fact, as a person of color, I never had any idea about. Then I'm like, oh, wow. It's so amazing how months like this brings about reminders about how we as Black people, people of color, we have so much to be grateful for, so much to be inspired with. So I would like for you to share some experience, as a person of color living in America who is originally not, described as African American. How has it been? How's the living experience like?
I would say my living experience has been Black. Okay. When I say Black, not in a bad way, but just knowing what it is to live as a Black person in America. The difference is, just knowing that even as a Black person from Africa, it's still a little different from a Black person that was born here in America, that lived the whole of their life here in America. It's been a little tough, challenging, but at the same time...
Do you mind sharing some examples so that, just to give a little bit of perspective?
I think it just totally about just living your life knowing that you're a Black man, so you should be very conscious of that. It's a little terrible, just living your life walking around knowing that I'm Black, so I have to be very conscious of being Black, because just by being Black could put me in trouble sometimes. You get pulled over by police and you're extra careful because you're Black, and there might be some quick presumptions and assumptions about just because I'm Black. So it's a little tough, but at the same time, just keep my head low, and stay cool.
Wow, that's really interesting, because I feel like from a male's perspective is even much more different from a female's perspective. I'm not originally classified as African American because I wasn't born here. But one of the things that I've also experienced similar to yours is that, of course, I'm very, very self-aware, so I don't really live my life like, based on the color of my skin, but people do make assumptions, but I've gotten to grow to a point whereby I don't really think about that as that's you're thinking about me this way because I'm, a person of color. And I think some of the things I also encounter as a person of color is the fact that there sometimes could be disconnects because you really do not understand, the history behind some of the things that have happened in this country to people of color, to Black people. And sometimes and because our living experiences back home is very different from, not to say that we don't go through some really harsh situations back home, but our living experiences back home doesn't really match what we come to see here. And it's just a little disconnect in there, and people will be assuming like, you're a Black person, you're supposed to know how this works. I'm like, well, I can relate to some of it, but not all of it. And so it's one thing for you to be able to show empathy, but it's another thing for you to actually truly understand, what the other person is going through. So, I think this month being Black History Month, what I've been able to get out from the month is that I continue to open myself up to learn about my fellow people of color, either from back home or people here. There's so much we have here that, inspiring, that we've done. A lot of history, a lot of scientific inventions have been done by Black women, Black men, that it's so sad credits were not given to. But months like this allow for us to go back and showcase the beauty we have as people of color, and to show off our achievements. So that's just awesome.
I like months like this where that we kind of being reminded of things that we've achieved in life, and I think actually educating and re-educating being black, just letting us know the truth about our experiences, things that have happened. You know, I got to watch Judas and the Black Messiah, and for a very long time, you know, Tupac's mother was a panther, and
Black Panther,
that it was kind of categorized as a very bad group, or a group of terrorists, or like serious gangsters. But after watching the show, or the movie, I got to realize that these people are revolutionaries. They stood against something really important that actually contributed to a lot of impact in today's world right now. So that changed my mentality and ideology about the Black Panthers, you know.
Wow.
So I got to really know that. So months like this where people actually get educated about the truth, instead of how we've been painted, or how we've been designed, that even most of us now sees ourselves. We tell the story, retell the story. I think that's the point of history, just to learn the truth about what happened. So this month is a good month to actually just learn truth about what actually happened, the history, and not just what we've been told, but the basic truth about it.
Now you're getting me thinking about why it's so important for us as people of color, just people in general, to tell our stories, because I'm telling you, the history books do not reflect the truth. The history books, you know, I went to college here, but they let you see what they want you to see, unless you really take our time to dig in deep. And I watched that movie as well, so I saw how the women, it's amazing how Black women have always, you know, stood for our communities. The women put themselves in the line to make a difference, and that is contrary to what the other people, you know, society try to tell us about Black history or Black people. They want us to put fear in ourselves, so that, you know, we look at ourselves, you know, either look down at ourselves, look at ourselves as enemies. It's so saddening, actually. So thank you for bringing up that movie.
You're welcome.
Another question I think I want us to talk about is, as this is Black History Month, I think it's an opportunity for us to also explore some opportunities. Opportunities. What are some opportunities you see in the Black community that we can take advantage of?
You know, being in America, I think I've got to realize that as Black people, we tend to seek for help or opportunities all the time, like expecting from the government, and that takes a little long time for us to achieve. You know, as an entrepreneur or somebody that like to run my own thing, I would say there are many businesses out there that you don't need to be employed. You do not need to even get all the degrees in life. Just look out for something like that. There is trading right now with a couple of apps. You can trade Bitcoin, foreign currencies, which is cryptocurrencies, foreign currencies, with just owning an app or a phone or a car. You could literally do some deliveries, rideshare associates, basically anything that you can do with a car. You can actually just, like, people can actually rent apartments or houses for Airbnb. All of these things does not require too much money. They don't really require employment, and these are very good opportunities that people can actually make enough money for themselves.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think entrepreneurship is the way forward, people.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
You know, COVID-19 came, and people now began to see how fragile the working systems are. Someone could just tell you, you know what, foreclosure, until further notice. So entrepreneurship is the way forward, and like you said, cryptocurrency is a very, very good avenue to explore. Uber, you know, rideshare companies, Airbnb, you know, if you have good credit score. Another part is the good credit score, right? We as a people, Black people of color, we need to own our financial power, because that is where it lies. If we're able to like own our financial power, make sure that we are taking our credit cards very seriously, if you have one, because it's not like it's not like the only thing that gives you security, but like it gives you a great advantage over things like you going to do business yourself or going to get an apartment, which you can use to do Airbnb. So please, there is power in that money.
That's a very good point.
In that money.
That's a very good point, because like I think people, for some reason, I think poverty and a lot of stuff has really affected black communities to a point where they don't really care much about building credit scores anymore, or they're not really educated enough about the importance of good credit scores. So I see people like having multiple credit cards and not even paying them back. So it affects their credit scores a lot, and at the end of the day, it limits people from actually doing what is really important that will move them to the next level. Because I think America has been programmed in a way that people become victims of credit scores. We don't think about it, but this is psychological something. They know that you're not going to be able to maintain this thing, so they put it there as a regulation that if you do not have this level of credit score, you cannot move forward. A majority of people falls into the line of people that have very bad credit scores. So at the end of the day, it's very bad for the whole community as a whole. So let's try to build our credit scores and play the game right.
Another thing that I would like us to talk about is the family units. I recently have just been exposed to some materials about how the family units, especially as a community of color, is so important. And I feel like if we are able to get our family unit right, oh my goodness, we're going to do amazing things. Of course, it's unfortunate that, people have basically monetized, having several kids as an advantage, trying to take away black fathers from the homes. It is detrimental to the black community. I think that is one of the worst things that happen to black communities, to take away the fathers from the homes, leaving the children vulnerable to abuse, to a lot of things in society whereby could have been prevented. Our girls basically don't have the protection of the fathers. The mothers do not have the protection of the husbands. And I don't know, whatever system, the big guys put all these incentives to make it look as though taking black fathers from the home is a good thing.
Well, I think, I think it's not really much about taking black fathers. In my own opinion, I don't think they are really taking black fathers. There are rules and regulations set to guide people, and psychologically, a lot of black fathers falls into those rules. There are steps that we could take to prevent ourselves from being taken. We're a human being with total freedom to make our choices and make the right decisions and choices that would not lead us to being taken. So I think we should really talk more about what can we do to be in the right path where we are not vulnerable to being taken. Because as long as we're still doing the same things that makes them take us as black men, we're always going to be complaining that they're taking us. We're filling up everywhere, but then we're not really preventing that trap. Those traps they've set for us to be captured. We're seeing them instead of trying to stay away from them or find a different ways. So we have our ways to go. We still go into that trap, that the same place that they've set for us to be captured, and at the end of the day, we get captured.
But you know what? That's a very good point. I think for me, I also think that not that people necessarily want to do things that to be taken away. It's just that the system is set up to make people fail. It's set up to make people fail. When they have a lot of policemen in most of those communities, like too many policemen, like you guys basically expecting to catch somebody, you're going to find one of the two things. And I think I'm gonna do injustice if I just say that it's always all the time that black men are always doing something wrong to be captured. Sometimes they basically set them up.
People get set up too. That's true. That happens a lot. So I think my point is all of this could happen, but if we could actually keep our head straight, it's like when you know where the enemy is at, you know the strategies of the enemy. Why not find a different path so you don't get captured by the enemy? If not, the enemy always have traps and ideas to capture you. But then you know these traps, you know these ideas. Why not look for something else so you don't get captured? That's my point. But all of these things happen. I just wish that we could be more careful so we don't become victims of the system.
Yeah, be more careful. So basically, let's continue to empower our communities, and let's continue to uphold our families and our sons, our fathers, our brothers out there. And of course, we know that the system definitely is set up to make a lot of people fail. But together, I believe, there's nothing we cannot do. And I hope this has been helpful. This is Black History Month. This is going to be the last, episode of February.
Yeah.
Of course, be looking out for more episodes to come. And happy Black History Month. I don't know wherever you're listening from, watching from. I hope you have a good weekend. And I hope to see you soon. If you're on social media, you can find me on Limi_Amo, LIMMY_AMOUR, or you can find me on YouTube, Doiba Kike channel. On Facebook, you can find me on Doiba Eshofonie, my first and my last name. And where can people find you in case people want to, connect? And
I still remember Micheal Ikoya. Ikoya is IKOIGHA. Look it up on Instagram or Facebook, whatever.
Actually, I think it's Ricky Jackson, right?
Yeah. If you search for the name, I'm the only one that bears Micheal Ikoya, so it's gonna pop up.